Hey everyone, this is Do a Dreamer.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Lads Discuss DC. Yes, we're not discussing Death Battle this time because we just don't feel like it.
Your Last of Us series has killed it.
Help me out, I can't seem to get this window open. Never mind now, it's open.
We're talking about the DC animated movie. Specifically, we're going to start off talking about DC's The Flashpoint Paradox. Joined with me is good old buddy Saber King.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
And unfortunately, Jaru could not make it because he just does not like DC for some reason. But you know, fuck him. Not really, Jaru. Not really, Jaru. You're the best. But as a replacement, you've probably already heard him. I have brought here a well-known reactor and also a sprite animator, Duo Dreamer.
Hey guys, what's up? Hope everyone's dreaming big.
There we are with the classic catchphrase.
Yes, that's right.
So I was thinking before we discuss this movie, because there's a lot I wanted to give on this movie, but I was thinking, why? Since this is the first episode of Lads Discuss DC, it's a working title. Let's talk about what got us into DC in the first place. And so, what got us into DC in the first place? You know, Duo, you've been a comic book fan for as long as you can remember, probably a lot longer than me and Rich. Why don't you express your old boomer years of watching DC?
Well, the first experience to DC would have to be watching the very first Superman movie with Christopher Reeve. And that's where I knew who Superman was. And, of course, watching the old Batman show with Wes. And then reading books and whatnot. And I started getting more into the different series and characters in DC. There was a point where I was not a DC fan even after watching Superman and Batman and whatnot, but I was more of a Marvel fan. But then after watching a couple of the animated movies of DC, I started having more of a love for DC because I felt the characters were more has more of a dynamic than Marvel. With Marvel, it's like the dynamic is more realistic in terms of like you say, like X-Men, it talks about racism and whatnot. Captain America being like the patriot against, you know, the Nazis and whatnot. And also like the Hulk is like kind of symbolic where we all have that anger and emotions inside. But with DC, it was more fantasy oriented than anything. Like they have some realistic stuff, but I find it more fantasy and like the characters are more complex than the ones in Marvel. I still love Marvel, but with DC, I find it they have more characters that are more complex and more interesting to talk about.
I will admit, I do kind of like the fact DC doesn't really take itself. That's it. Okay, why the fuck's my Discord going off so much? Is it my Discord or?
It might be my Discord. Hold on. Right.
Sorry, I keep hearing beeping. I'm just thinking, I'm sure it's a fatal pass.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I can get that. DC. Okay, I'm not saying not every comic book takes itself seriously, but DC is one of those that doesn't care on how absurd they go with their heroes and villains.
Right.
Like, I mean, Superman's one of his greatest villains, Doomsday, is literally a villain where if you defeat him a certain way, he'll be immune to it through evolution, quote unquote.
Evolution finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Yeah. Jurassic Park reference.
Hey, let's be fair. Like, they could have created their own version of Doomsday in that movie, and we're thankful they didn't.
Well, in a way, wasn't the Indominus Rex kind of like that, you know, Doomsday type thing where they just splice different dinosaurs together?
True, but they didn't kill it over and over again.
That's true.
Richard, why don't you, because my history of DC is quite brief and it's not that interesting, but Richard, give us your nerdy insight. What got you into the realm of Batman and Superman and others?
The Bruce Timm animated universe.
Ah.
Classic. You're an old school cartoon enthusiast, so I'm not gonna lie, that makes sense.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. It was Batman the Animated Series, and then Superman, then Batman Beyond, and then Static, Justice League, Unlimited, Zeta. It was pretty much all of those.
Man,
And
there was a lot of stuff for that universe, weren't there?
Yes, there was.
Yes, there was. And I did read the comics. I read the Silver Age comics, and then the Bronze Age. All great stories. And then eventually I would grow up with the animated movies, which were very, very cool because it meant I could get to see some of my favorite storylines put into animation.
Badass.
Yeah, and then there was the video games, of course. But yeah, like, it all started with Bruce Timm's universe, and that's what got me into DC. That's what made me such a huge DC aficionado. And that's that's pretty much the only reason why I stuck with DC for a while, because I love Marvel, but I was raised with DC, so I kind of have to be a DC biased fan, even to this day.
At least when it comes to DC, they don't cancel their animated series just because, I don't know, because Disney bought the rights to it or some bullshit. Seriously, Marvel's TV shows have a bad habit of just cancelling for stupid reasons.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, the old X-Men TV show didn't end like abruptly. They did have an ending to it. But...
I know, but do you sometimes get kind of annoyed when you hear it got cancelled because, oh, we didn't sell enough toys? Oh, sorry, but...
Yeah, back in the day, that's what the cartoons were meant for, to advertise toys.
I know. Okay, actually, do you know what? I do need to correct myself. Yes, I am aware, people, Young Justice is also a victim to this as well. But the difference here is it came back. I'm still waiting for Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, man. Come on.
That's never coming back.
Please, Disney. I will literally bend down and suck your Mickey Mouse if you bring it back.
Oh, dude!
Hey, like I told you before we recorded, listen, there's no censorship on these podcasts.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Unless Sean wants to put in some extra effort to censor these, but I'm not gonna torture the podcast.
Leave it in.
Well, aside talking about little Mickey Mouse's dong, so my history of DC is a bit of a weird one. Because as a kid, I didn't really grow up with Batman through comics, games, or anything like that. It was through his toy. But now, I didn't understand who Batman was, so I made him fight all sorts of villains, including, no joke, Donald Duck was a villain, like a toy plushie I'd have, and I'd have Batman fight him. And no, it gets better. Donald Duck was a freaking mob gangster.
What?
With stormtroopers. I was a weird kid.
Oh my god!
Oh, but it wasn't until the Dark Knight trilogy started coming out, I was like, I finally get to see who this Batman guy is. And then I saw all his villains, I was just like, I could see I might have missed some areas.
Yeah.
It's not too bizarre. He's fighting clowns, a burnt man, and a giant freaking Mexican wrestler. I mean, that's not too bizarre of what I made.
Well, if you look at his other roles gallery, he's like fighting psychiatrists. He's fighting a person that's obsessed with puzzles. He's fighting people who's obsessed with clocks and all that stuff. So it's kind of
and Kite Man. I did not believe that was I did not believe that was an actual villain until I saw the Harley Quinn TV show, and I was just like, oh fucking hell, Kite Man's real.
When it comes to villains, nothing surprised me with DC. So like if they have one that is like, you even have a villain that is called Calendar Man. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, oh my god, it's Calendar Man.
Yeah, Calendar Man.
I mean, to be fair, they've modernized these characters to the point they can make them look cool, except for that. What's the name of that ketchup and mustard one from the animated series?
Was it Condiment Man?
Condiment Man, no.
Do you remember, Richard?
Do I remember? Yes.
What's his name?
I think it was Condiment King.
Yes, the Condiment King.
Yeah.
Did he get modernized? Does he still use ketchup and mustard guns?
Yes.
Oh my god, I need to look these comics up.
Yes. Well, he's not a comic book villain. He originated in the Batman the Animated Series, and then he became a comic.
So like Harley Quinn.
Very much like Harley Quinn, yes.
And Lockup.
Really?
And
Lockup?
I did not know that. I always thought he was a comic book character.
No, he was originally from the animated series, and then he became a comic book character because I guess people like the character, just like they like Harley Quinn, which for good reason. With Harley Quinn, like she has her own show, she has her own comic books.
She got so popular after her animated debut.
Yes.
I will admit though, her taste in men is debatable. But yeah, back to the topic though. Yeah, that's how I got introduced to Batman. Through an action figure and creating essentially what I call the DC version of Toy Story from my eyes. Sadly though, I don't have that Batman toy. It long got destroyed. I can't even remember. I think it was the animated TV show toy one, or I think it was either that or the Adam West one. Yeah, yes, I did have an Adam West Batman toy, and
no judging here. That's probably like a holy grail for toy collectors.
That is true. Unless you're Stan Lee, in which you want to just put the Thing in Batman's place. That's an old school reference I don't think many will get. Maybe I'm a boomer.
Maybe.
So we've all had essentially a fair introduction to the DC world through some of us through understandable ways, some nostalgia, one with toys.
Hey.
So
I feel like the dinosaur of the group because, like I said, my first experience was the very first Superman movie. Now it's back in the 80s. So I feel like I'm a dinosaur here.
We're all dinosaurs in this day and age. Don't worry.
Speak for yourself.
Wait, you're older than me, Richard.
Doesn't mean I'm a dinosaur.
In this context, it was.
So he's in his prime right now. Me, I'm like close to my 40s.
Really? I thought you were at least in your 30s.
I'm 37.
Oh, fair enough.
Yes.
So now that we're
I know I don't look like it, but I am 37.
What's your secret? We'll find out another time. So we've all got introduction into DC, but now, of course, let's talk about the bizarre changes in the animation department when it comes to DC, and this is going to be the segue into the Flashpoint movies. So I did not know who the Flash was going into this movie.
How dare you?
I think the close. I really did not. In fact, no one in my school ever spoke about the Flash. Like the only one I ever heard more about.
Oh my god!
I'm not even kidding. In fact, the DC animated series was not popular in the UK.
That actually doesn't surprise me from what I've heard from UK friends.
I mean, to be fair, in fact, very few shows in America that are really popular are very rarely popular over here. Like, if you were to walk up to someone and go, "Hey, have you ever heard of Aqualad or Lobo or even Ghost Rider?" People would be like, "Who?"
Who?
Like, you could even name the most A-tier Justice League members. No one would know who they are.
Wow.
In fact,
I think that like the Flash of all people, I thought he was a household name.
You would think that too, but no. In my school, the only characters we ever heard about the most was, of course, Superman, because he's such an iconic comic book character, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and even Aquaman was more well-known than the Flash.
Right.
But only through jokes, because, you can talk to fish, he's more popular, he's just basically SpongeBob. Like, that was literally all people would say when it came to, like, DC heroes.
Wow.
So, and I'm not saying I hate the Flash before anyone gets it wrong. No, after I watched a few movies, including the animated Justice League, I did start to grow to like the character. He's a bit different from Batman and Superman. He's kind of like a he's kind of like a street smart guy. Like, he's a people person. He never really tries to beat up his villains to the point they're in the hospital. He actually tries to like help them. So that's what I kind of, especially that cafe scene in the Justice League animated series when he talked to that villain who had mental health issues. That was actually a really touching moment.
The trickster.
Yeah. That's what kind of made me like the Flash. Then when I watched the Flashpoint, I was a bit mixed on this version of the Flash, we'll say.
Well, this is Barry Allen. The one you were talking about is Wally West.
Okay, fair enough.
There's many other Flashes out there. It's just you have to know which one is the right one. But the OG, as far as I know, is Barry Allen that most people know about.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Hal Jordan is like a really well-known Green Lantern, even though realistically, the original one was, what was his name? John. I'm trying to remember his last name.
No, it's not Stewart.
Yeah, well, it's that one, right? That's the one that more people are more well known for Hal Jordan, but of course, Stewart is essentially the OG Green Lantern for a lot of people.
Well, I think maybe because they watched the Justice League cartoon, why they think that he is, but it's actually Hal Jordan is the original.
Oh, well, I got it completely wrong. Okay, forget facts from Bill. So let's move on to... So let's talk about the start to this movie, essentially. Duo, do you want to give your input on the opening to the Flashpoint movie?
Yeah, sure. We see a flashback, pun intended, Flash.
Yang would be proud of you.
Oh, why you have to mention her? now she's she's not gonna let it down for me now. But anyway, I just watched it earlier. There was a flashback with Barry and his mother. Their car broke down, and she pretty much taught him a valuable lesson that sometimes things happen and there's nothing you can do about it, but what you can change, the things you can change, and he kind of remembered that, for a while because he actually experienced that. Like he always I regret not being there on time to save my mother. Like if I was fast enough, but his girlfriend and he remembered what his mother said that, so there's things that are going to be out of your control, but if there's things you can control, then go for it. But you can't change the past, pretty much. Although he does have the ability to change the past, but metaphorically speaking, you cannot change the past, what she's trying to say.
Yeah.
And then fights ensues where his rogues gallery went to his Hall of Fame hall, and they wanted to destroy it because Reverse Flash wanted to destroy every memory of the Flash, and the Flash was caught with this goo that Reverse Flash sent him, and put a bomb near it too. And every single villain that was there, including Captain Cold, Captain Boomerang, who are the other three that was on there? I'm trying to remember the other three's names, but they all had bombs. Like they were tiny bombs, but it can destroy a wide radius. And of course, the Justice League comes in, they save the day, they disarm the bomb, and Reverse Flash tells, the Flash that, you can't save anyone, even the ones that are most important. And that's where Flash decided to just run, and then we end up in this Flashpoint timeline of the series.
Yeah, I have some things to actually say about this opening. Some good, but there's I'm going to be a bit nitpicky. I am very sorry, Duo.
No, it's not perfect. I mean, there are some flaws to this one, so
yeah. And in fact, I'll say my piece, and then I'll let Richard pull out the dagger because I know how much he's wanting to carve his name into this movie. he's sharpening his critic shiv. Okay, now this might be a controversial take, but I feel like Flash's mum's death is probably the saddest death in comic books, because when it comes to a lot of heroes who have to see their parents die, it's always through, oh no, I had to witness my dad get stabbed. Oh, I had to see my mom jump in front of a bullet. It's always, they got to see their parents die and they're grieving. But in Flash's case, no, he's running home all happy like, it's his mum's birthday, and, he's excited, and then he opens the door and all you see is the aftermath. I feel like that hits more than just seeing Batman's parents die for like the 15th time for a bullet.
I kind of agree with you because, like, you rest with that mindset that what if I was there? I could have done something, like he was saying, like I could have been fast enough to get there to save her, and just coming home and seeing a dead body on the floor, it is haunting, It's one thing like with how Bruce felt when he saw both of his parents killed right in front of him. Like he actually witnessed it, whereas Barry didn't witness it, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
it's very chilling,
Like he's going on all happy, like, and even plays like happy music, and the thing, this movie set up the tone of how dark this film is going to be, because just seeing the bloodied up corpse of his mother, it's like, wow, this movie's really gonna push that rated R rating.
Surprisingly, it's PG-13, and they were very violent in it too.
Not in the UK. R1's 15.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously a British person would understand, like, yeah, they just showed it straight up a kid get shot. I don't think that we should let 12-year-olds see this. And now to talk about the whole museum exhibit bit. Now, this part is kind of something I have issues with when it comes to a lot of DC animated movies. And that is, they expect you to know who the Flash is. They expect you to know the Justice League to the point you should recognize these villains. Now, to an extent, that's not bad, but if you're someone like me, who's only just known the Flash recently, well, not recently this year, but you know what I mean. Like, let's say the first time I watch this film, this is going to be my introduction to the Flash. Oh, he's naming all these villains, and the way they describe the villains is through such like unrealistic monologue. Like, the rogues, the people that are trying to stop the Flash, ruin his reputation. It's like, yeah, you're just basically explaining who these are.
I get what you're saying. What you're saying is like it was meant for like comic book readers that know the Flash very well, but not everyone is gonna know who these are. In my opinion, I look at it as, I just learned something new. I didn't know that they're these type of villains, and it makes me intrigued to want to get to know these villains and what they. One of the things I like about DC, this underrated characters that you don't know about, and then when you learn about them, they actually seem like a big deal in the comic books, opposed to on-screen media. You know what I mean?
I get that, but then given the fact in the future DC animated movies, we rarely ever see these guys again. The only character we see out of all these is Boomerang, who's in the Suicide Squad movies. We don't see all the rest of these villains, so that kind of like, since we don't see a lot of these villains make an appearance again inside Boomerang,
I get it.
It's kind of like telling me, oh, go read the fucking comic books, you fucking weeb. Like, okay, maybe not that extreme, but you kind of get it. It's like, if I wanted to know these characters, because they look cool and their personalities are hilarious. They're like the classic 80s James Bond villains,
Right.
I mean, literally, one of them's called Boomerang.
Yeah, Captain Boomerang, and that's it.
Like, that is such a James Bond villain name, and I love it.
It is. And then you have Captain Cold. And now I remember Mirror Master was in that group as well. Like, think of Mirror Master, like
come on, man, these names are so cheesy. I like the fact
it was the golden age.
True.
That's what I love about it. It's like it's not trying to like modernize them or anything. I was like, no, this is the. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, I had some hot wings before we started.
So unprofessional.
Hey, when did I ever say I was professional?
Fair point.
This is coming from a guy who threw a brick at a bloater in The Last of Us. I'm not smart when it comes to these sort of things. I just roll with the punches.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to talk about the Justice League's first appearance, now, this was a really good introduction to the Justice League if you're new to them. You see Batman's a detective, you see Superman's a heroic, yet kind of a jokester in a way. You see Green Lantern's a bit of a smart-ass when he's joking with the Flash. They introduced all these great heroes. It's just a shame that a majority of these heroes die in the future in this film.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them.
A majority of them. It's we'll get to that.
A lot of characters died in that future too. Like there's a lot of characters. Again, there's some characters that we don't know much, and we see them
when we get further into this review or discussion, I guess. Then we'll discuss about the other characters. Now, the bomb defusal bits are one of my favorite scenes in this movie because. How each hero does it is unique to them. Aquaman, he summons little microscopic fish to essentially devour all the devices in the bomb. You have Wonder Woman who straight up just rips it off and just throws it into the atmosphere. Batman's, of course, trying to use his precision to try and remove the bomb to the point it wouldn't explode.
With the assist of Green Lantern too.
Yeah, who's holding him up over the earth.
Cyborg, he's using his futuristic tech to essentially hack into it and deactivate it. And Superman just straight up just clenches his hands and just lets it explode.
And that's how freaking strong Superman is.
Beautiful.
And I've seen people comment why didn't they just get Wonder Woman just to rip it all off and throw it? It's like, well, that's boring. We don't want to see that. We want to see the Justice League working together to destroy the bombs.
Yes.
Yes, realistically, Superman and Wonder Woman could have just ripped off all the belts and just hurled them into the air. But then what's the point of having a Justice League then for a series?
Exactly.
We want to see these heroes, I love the fact that Superman, he was even smiling and he just goes, it's the waiting that's the hard part. It's like, you just wanted to tease this villain. Oh. It was great to see the Justice League all working together. And can I also say the introduction to the Reverse Flash or Dr. Zoom, whatever they want to call him in the DC community, he was such a great villain introduction. Because you get the idea of what his character's like. He does not have any agenda. He's not doing this for money. He's not doing this for revenge. No, he's just a fucking prick.
Yeah.
And he does not sugarcoat it. He's like, listen, I'm an asshole. Get used to it.
It's just like in that part where, Flash was saying, you have me. You don't need to kill these people. It's like, I know, but I choose to do it.
That's great. Listen, I don't mind villains with a sympathetic, reason. But at the same time, I do want a villain that's just evil for the sake of being evil. It's fun being bad. It's like, I have no other reason.
Yeah, and there was also a part where, Flash was able to trap Zoom in that same goo with the bomb on him, and he pretty much says well, if now you have the disarmament because if this goes off, you go off too. Everyone dies. It's like, okay, all I care about is your existence being wiped off. I don't care if I die along the process. At least I get what I want. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, that is so great. That's essentially my piece on the opening. Richard, do you want to get that criticize and shiv ready? What did you think about the opening to this? Especially as someone who's a Justice League fan, what did you think of this opening to The Flash?
What did I think of the opening? It was fine.
Okay. I thought you were going to be a bit more harsh.
Okay, well, the only area I will be harsh is that I hate this fucking animation.
Okay, I do have to agree. The character models do look a bit.
I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to be faithful to Johns' original story, but oh my god, it's just like everybody is so ridiculously buff. Like everybody has neck muscles. Their bodies look like they're just strung together by this mountain of muscle. Wonder Woman's eyes are small. Like but it's like. Like I don't like it. Like I don't like this animation. But no. The opening was fine. It was a great way to introduce the Justice League, the Flash, and just what this whole world is about.
Do you think all these characters went to the same gym Abby from The Last of Us went to?
It's possible.
Maybe Abby saw the Justice League Flashpoint movie and she was just like, I got an idea. Richard, I know you. I haven't completed The Last of Us Part 2, so you can rip that game apart in another conversation.
No, I'm out of rip. I can't say anything more about that shit. So it's cool.
I'm still playing it.
It was that bad, Rich?
Yes.
Well, we're not here to talk about that. I just wanted to make an Abby joke.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now let's talk about, the actual point of the movie. So the Flash obviously really hurt and distraught by what the Reverse Flash said to him. He decided, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to go back in time and save my mum. And reason-wise, it's adorable. Execution-wise, oh my god, you have fucked up so much, Flash.
Yeah.
He started World War III, the Amazons are evil, the Atlanteans are destroying the world, Superman destroyed Metropolis. It's like, fuck.
Did he?
His ship crashed into Metropolis and destroyed it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that part.
At least in this universe, Obama's still president.
Yes.
Or at least was president until,
God, don't remind me.
Yeah, okay. Like,
you're lucky. You don't have to live in America.
We have Boris, man. We have Boris. He's like if Lex Luthor and the Joker were merged into one.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, it's that bad.
Oh, God.
Okay, maybe not that bad. But, if the movie wanted to get the point that this is going to be a dark movie, yeah, this film's a dark movie. Because when we actually see the flashbacks of what happened to this new timeline, holy hell, I'm just there like, oh my god, this universe is fucked up.
I mean, like, when I saw the part where Wonder Woman killed Aquaman's wife, and she showed the head of her, I'm like, wait a minute, is this rated R or rated PG-13? And I'm looking at it, this is rated PG-13, and it showed severed heads? Damn!
Yeah, and it was so messed up. And it was kind of interesting how it wasn't like some time travel thing where the Flash has memories of this new timeline. It was the fact that the longer he stayed in this universe, his memory was like merging into all the memories he had of it. That was kind of clever. And
who's responsible for that? And we know he's a dick for doing that.
It was pretty interesting to see the Flash having to team up with all these characters. Like, even to the point when I got introduced to this Batman, I was a bit like, holy crap, he's going full Punisher on everyone. But it turns out, no, in this universe, Bruce Wayne was killed by the Mugger, and Thomas became the Batman.
That's why because of this movie, this is why I first learned about Flashpoint Batman.
Yeah. Sorry, you say your piece, sorry. Sorry, I thought you wanted to say, I thought you had more to add.
No. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that because of this movie is when I first learned about Flashpoint Batman.
Yeah, and I also, I need to kind of get your input on this. So, did Bruce Wayne's mother become the Joker?
Yes.
Okay, then. And there's some bits I kind of want to talk about when it came to this story of this universe, but before I get to that, let's hear Duo's thoughts about this whole universe of the Flashpoint Paradox. What did you think of it?
I thought it was very intriguing to see different versions of the characters that we know and different events and different timelines. Like, it's sort of like a what if scenario. Like, what if Bruce Wayne was the one that was killed and the parents were still alive? So we see that Thomas Wayne becomes the Batman and Martha Wayne becomes the Joker, which is crazy. It's very crazy. Then we got to see, what if uh, Aquaman was kind of like Black Manta, where he wanted to conquer everything, and we got to see that. What if uh, Superman never landed on at Kansas in Smallville? What would happen to him? There's so many different what if scenarios, and it I like how it entertained that, and it sort of reminded me of like Injustice, where like what if Superman was evil? What if he went all the way? What would happen? Let's entertain that possibility. And I like kind of stories like that to say like, what if this happened? You know what I mean? I always like the what ifs.
I do kind of like the whole theories about... That's one of my favourite things to look up on YouTube, when people try and discuss, what if this happened with this character? But then there are some big issues I have with this particular movie. And that is, I feel like this was more inclined to be a TV show, because when they explain this universe, it's through mostly monologue and stuff like that, which it feels out of place a lot of the time. And there's a lot of the things like Martha being the Joker, we don't really get to see that, which is kind of gutting. That's why I feel like it would have been interesting if this was a TV show rather than a movie. We could have explored more of this universe, like the Flash trying to find his way back home, but we also get to see all different sorts of heroes, or at least they're not even heroes at this point, not even anti-heroes, they're just dicks.
Yeah.
Even to the point we're seeing Aquaman team up with all his villains. It's like, wow.
Yeah, Black Manta. I forgot what the other guy was.
Ocean Master, I think.
Yes, Ocean Master.
Ocean Master, and even seeing the two Aqua lads joining forces with them. That's just like, what the fuck?
I know.
It's that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of things that are just. I'd imagine they had to cut out a lot of stuff. I did hear there was meant to be a Martha scene in the movie, but they had to cut it out due to how long it was already. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe they should have just made a TV show. In fact, okay, I'm not trying to criticize the animation that much, because I understand this was... they didn't have a lot of funding for this movie, because I think Warner Bros. Did not expect it to get as popular.
Right.
But I felt like, even through Warner Bros. Lowest animations... or low budget animations, they've managed to pull off some good TV shows. Like the Batman animated series had pretty low budget. At least that's
right.
So that's why I feel like they could have turned this into a TV show, and it probably would have been a damn good show.
I think it would have been, like, if they, or maybe a mini series, like a mini series, like a 6-parter or something like that. I think it could have done that as well. But
maybe the first episode could have been, the Flash is stopping the villains at his bank. Or not his bank, he's not that rich, at his museum, and then it cuts to the future and we witness... the first episode could have literally been the origin to this new Justice League, essentially, or the characters. Like, we see Aquaman and Wonder Woman go to start a war with each other, we see Thomas Wayne become, the Batman, the evil Batman. Well, I guess he's not evil, he's still killing villains.
Yeah.
Or even this version of Cyborg, like, how did he get a mother box, given the fact... Well, that's the thing, though. There's just a lot of things that are just not explained that much. In fact, we also do know that this version of Red Hood and Batman, they teamed up at one point, but that's also, again, explained through really out-of-place monologue.
Right.
So, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want to rip on this movie too much, because I did enjoy it. In fact, I'm playing it on the screen right now just to explain my notes. Because it is a good movie. I just kind of think that it should have been a TV show, or like you said, a miniseries. Maybe it's something on YouTube, or... I guess Netflix wasn't around at this time. No, Netflix was around, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this could have been something on Netflix, or I guess Netflix didn't have any original shows at this time, so...
At the time, no. They were still just doing streaming, and people were renting DVDs from them by getting mail. But I didn't think they had original shows at the time, so...
Yeah, so... That's my piece on this. We'll talk into more about the Flash when he meets Thomas. But Richard, what did you think about this version of the DC universe? This new universe?
I hated it.
Wow.
All right, on to the next part. No. No. Enlighten us, Gyro 2.0.
I feel like this was a good idea on paper, but I did not like how it was executed. I mean, I liked a little bit of it in the comic because it was more fleshed out, and there were things that maybe I could have warmed up to. Like you and Dua said, maybe this could have been an animated series, a mini series. But I don't really expect Warner Brothers to do that because nobody knows the big WB like me. But I just didn't like this universe. I feel like the whole idea of like the intentions are good, but just having the Amazons and the Atlanteans start World War III, having Thomas Wayne become Batman is a great. I did love the concept. I do love Thomas Wayne Batman, but I don't feel invested in his Batman because he's just essentially the Punisher, but with a bat symbol on him. And plus two, you got to turn off your brain because at this point Thomas is in his 70s and he's still able to do insane shit like this.
This is the DC universe, like I said. It's bullshit.
The DC universe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, really do not like the idea of Martha becoming the Joker. I do not like that idea. I think that I get that it would have a traumatic impact on her, but just having her be the Joker,
I will agree. Context wise, it doesn't make sense. Like, oh no, my son's deaf. I must become evil.
Well, it's not necessarily she became evil. She just became crazy.
Like she couldn't handle it.
Yeah, which again, I feel like in a comic book, there's more. In the actual comic book, they did explore this, but in this movie, because they couldn't, it's just like, okay, why then? This world, I've always just looked at this world as ugly. Like it's ugly, it's unappealing.
I think that's what the writer was intended to do. It's not meant to look like bright colors and justice and hype. It's meant to be the complete opposite.
Yes, and there's no problem with that. It's just, I just don't like it. I feel like it's trying too hard to be edgy and really go too far with this whole idea of, okay, Flash goes back in time, saves his mother, and he literally just creates the fucking apocalypse.
Right. This might be a controversial take. I do kind of feel like you do have a good point when it comes to they did try too hard to be too dark in this movie, which makes sense. This is why I kind of feel like Marvel's Civil War, the first one I should mention, actually did a lot better with its whole alternative timeline where the heroes clashed with each other. Because it felt more emotional, because it was sad seeing these heroes fight. But in this universe, everyone's just... I just don't really like a lot of them because they're such douchebags.
Everybody's either douchebags, they're miserable, or they're just completely different characters. And that's what makes it hard for me to get... That's what made it very difficult for me to get invested in the actual comic. And it's even worse in the animated film, because at least in the original comic adaptation, there were many things that were fleshed out, but here it's just like, yep, this is Flashpoint. Everything that we showed you in the opening, we flipped it on its head.
Right.
I will say Hal Jordan was still the same. It's just the same. He got eaten by a giant sea penis.
Yeah. He did.
I want to do a quick comment what Richard was saying about how he feels like the film was kind of being edgy purposely. I was like thinking, like, I also believe with this whole Flashpoint thing, like they were trying to be purposely trying to be ironic at certain areas, like the irony. Like, for example, Martha Wayne becoming the Joker and Thomas Wayne becoming Batman while Bruce is dead, where Bruce, as Batman, his main antagonist is the Joker. And it's like, whoa, look at the irony here. His mother becomes the Joker. Or like, say, there's one scene in the movie where we see Wonder Woman killed, I forgot that pilot's name, the man that she first met.
Steve Trevor.
Yeah, Steve Trevor. And then she ends up killing him. And it's like, ooh, look at the irony here. You know what I mean? And
actually, I do need to comment on that. Wasn't Steve Trevor's from like the World War in the comics? Wasn't he from the World War II era?
Yes. No, World War One era. It was World War One era.
Okay, so how the fuck did he end up in this timeline?
DC, like you said, DC.
Okay,
DC Magic. We'll call it DC Magic.
That could
Yes.
be you could use that as an explanation for everything. Like, wait, how did the Flash do that? DC. Fair enough.
Yes.
And
or DC Logic, whatever you want to call it.
yeah.
And I do kind of agree with you. There is some irony to Wonder Woman just straight up choking like Trevor with the lasso of truth.
That was a slow death, though, and I was like, "What the? How is this PG-13?"
Yeah, you Americans, like, what is PG to you guys?
No comment.
Do you literally need to show someone's guts spewing out and blood everywhere to be like, okay, that might be a rated 15?
No comment.
I mean, seriously, like you saw him, she just flying up slowly, and it's like slowly killing him. Like you can see him actually suffering and seeing the blood coming out of his face. And it's like, how is this PG-13? Like seriously.
It is pretty messed up. And it's even kind of funny. It's like the other Amazons are just looking like, maybe we should have selected a different queen. Do you think even the Amazons were like, yeah, I do not want to get on her bad side? Okay, so anything else you want to add, Richard?
No, that's pretty much it. I did not like this world. I didn't like it when Jeff Johns did it. I don't like it here. This is just the idea. It's good on paper, but the execution, it's just unappealing to me, and it makes it very difficult for me to get invested, especially when I know, well, this world's gonna die anyway. So what's the point?
I guess they do kind of ruin it at the end, which we'll get to eventually. I guess now we should talk about Flash's impact after he got sent to this universe. So I have to admit, it was kind of interesting to see Barry's perspective on everything, because he kind of stands out, because he's meant to look more colourful than everyone.
Yeah.
Which is sentimental to describing that's what his universe is like. He's meant to be a symbol of hope. He's meant to be the hero. But when you look at all the other characters that he stands next to, even Shazam in this movie was kind of, or Captain Thunder as they called him.
Yes.
They just all look so dark and gritty, which makes sense given the tone it's going for. Oh god, I still remember when they showed, sorry, I've just got up to the bit where they showed Crypto's skeleton. That was Crypto the Super Dog.
Yes.
I can never get over that, man. It's so sad.
And I will have to say, even with, I felt that Cyborg had some hope, but I think he was sort of naive as well. Like, very naive of how the American government was handling things. So, I don't know, how would you picture Cyborg in this universe? Because you were saying, like, everyone's was more dark and gritty, and...
I think Cyborg was kind of in between in this movie, because he wasn't like Batman, or he wasn't like Thomas Wayne. He didn't lose hope. He still believed that the world could be saved, but he was not like the Cyborg from the Teen Titans cartoons or the other Cyborgs that we know. He's straight up like, right, we need to kill both sides. It's like, well, not really non-lethal, are you? Because that's the thing that's always been kind of interesting about Cyborg. Like, he's a walking Swiss Army knife. Like, he could realistically just wipe out an entire country. But in all the movies and stuff he's been in, he's always tried to be non-lethal. When you think of it, like, if he was to straight up use 10% of his power, yeah, most villains he fights would die.
Yeah.
And in this movie, he does kind of crank it up a bit. Like, look at his body, for example, which he doesn't look like he's
bigger than normal.
Yes, he's not trying to look like he's a hero. Like, even in the Justice League movie, the sort of Zack Snyder one, he looks like just a normal teenager with just some augmented parts. But in this movie, he's made to look like, Marvel, don't sue them, a war machine. He's meant to look intimidating. He's meant to look scary. But then when you see his actual character, he's a gentle giant in a way.
Yes.
I'd say the naive actually makes sense because he's a soldier. He's loyal to the president, even to the point he doesn't know about a lot of their secrets because he never asks questions. You know, good soldiers follow orders.
Exactly.
So that was pretty. I do think that's where he kind of fit the line in this movie. He was between everything. He didn't want to really kill villains, but he was willing to if it meant ending the war. It was even kind of funny, like, you see the Flash always trying to be non-lethal when he's fighting, but then you just have his comrades that just straight up shooting, beating people to death. It's like... he's like, guys, I'm trying to be non-lethal here. It's like when you're trying to do a stealth co-op section, but then your friends are just killing everyone. It's kind of funny. And I will admit, I enjoyed a lot of the Reverse Flash and Flash moments.
I think he was I feel that he made the movie in a way.
I mean, he kind of did. I mean, I don't think he pictured the universe would end up like this, but I feel like he did want to see what the Flash would do and how far he's willing to go to save his Mama Flash.
Right. He's sort of like a Joker, only super speed.
I mean, for God's sake, in the last act of the movie, he's having a cup of tea while there's a war going on. Like, come on, man.
He just wants he's like Joker. He wants to see the world burn. He don't care.
I love that. I just love the fact he was like twirling the tea as well, just like, look at this carnage. All thanks to me. It's like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
It's just such a shame as well. This is the film where he died until he returned for the Suicide Squad movie.
Right. Which I think that's crazy that he was still. Well, we'll get to that movie later, but
yeah,
it's crazy. Ugh.
There was a lot of crazy stuff in this movie.
Yes.
As for Barry trying to get his powers, I will admit I kind of felt like that scene was kind of filler to an extent. When he tried to get his powers back for the first time and it failed, but then he's like, let's do it again, and then he gets his powers back. That just makes me think, okay, what was the point?
He was looking for punishment, man.
I know, but it's like, what was the point showing him get... Were they just trying to prove that this is meant to be... You've already proved it's a dark movie. You don't need to show Barry all burnt out from the lightning.
I guess they wanted to show that, yeah, like, this is what would happen if it failed. But again, like with him wanting to do it again, it shows his character of how his determination is that there is hope. You know what I mean? That's how he was willing to sacrifice himself just to get his powers back, just to fix everything. You know, and I think that's why they use that as a way to show his character that he really wants this, you know.
Okay, that's okay. I never looked at it like that. That's fair enough.
Kind of deep.
I do kind of think that maybe it could have, like, I don't know, maybe his powers could have burst back. Maybe there was like a delay on it, and then they could have added the Martha Joker scene.
Right.
Now to talk about my big issue with this movie, again, its roster of characters. Now, they introduce so many side villains and so many side heroes to the point they're trying to make us feel sad that they're dead, like Shazam's family, but I don't really...
That was dark, dude.
It was... Okay, don't get me wrong. Children dying in fiction or anything is pretty sad to watch. Especially when Wonder Woman snapped Billy's neck. It's like, oh my god. In fact, do you know what? They actually censored that. Originally, you were actually meant to see Wonder Woman snap his neck and then the body drop. Nope, they straight up just show the sound effect and show the body dropping. Even they were like, okay, that's a bit too far, guys. If someone can actually find, I don't know, any sort of concept drawing of that scene, link it in the comments below because I want to see if that's true.
Oh my god.
Okay, that sounds sadistic then. Show me pictures of Billy being strangled to death.
But still, like, when I saw that death, I'm like, again, this is PG-13? Hello?
I mean,
I'm going to go back to that. Yeah,
it was pretty messed up. But then they introduced Lex Luthor, Deathstroke, Black Manta, Red Hood, and what's name that demon guy? D.
Again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Etrigan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and also that weird bug creature guy. Where's he from? Like he was with the Resistance guys.
Which one?
He was like some giant bug, and he was introducing everyone to Lois Lane.
I'm not sure.
Like, is he a Teen
I
Titan?
don't know either.
Like, is he a Teen Titan?
Know where Grifter is from. I know where Grifter is from. The guy with the bandana for a mask.
Yeah.
I think he was part of the Wildcats. He was part of the Wildcats, I believe.
But yeah, they Cheetah as well, and like we said before, both the Aqua Juniors or Aqua Lads.
Aqua Lads.
But
Clayface was in there too.
But all these characters just die. Like even Red Hood, he got killed so brutally. He got he was turned into
that wasn't Red Hood. That was the Grifter.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, he does look a bit like Red Hood. That's why I kind of got the idea. I thought he was like this universe's version of Red Hood. But
no.
Okay, fair enough. But even then, his death was so brutal. Even though you'd never see his face get impaled and stuff like that, the last arrow literally goes through his temple and he just collapses to the ground. And
again, PG-13.
Yeah.
So many characters died so brutally in this one last battle, which I get it. This is meant to be the final battle, but I don't really. As savage it is to say, I don't care for a lot of these characters because we never really got to know them, so their deaths meant nothing. Imagine watching Avengers Endgame, but they never established any of the Avengers except for maybe two of them. Would you have really been so sad if, spoiler if you've not seen Endgame, if Black Widow died, yet this was the first introduction to her? No, we wouldn't, would we?
No.
Same with Iron Man. If this was literally Iron Man's first movie and he sacrificed himself in it, we wouldn't have cared because we didn't bond with him. So, as brutal as it is seeing all these characters die, I don't really feel as sad for it. Aside Shazam's, because it's kids dying, that's pretty fucked up.
Right. I thought the saddest death, in my opinion, in the final battle was Cyborg's death.
That's the death. I mean, that does actually have an impact because you grew to like that character.
Right.
So that's why I feel like that had an impact. But
right.
Everyone else, I'm just like, I don't care.
Okay, they're dead. I think it was just more for body count. Like they just want to show the body count for the show, for the movie. It's like this is a serious war. This is a serious battle. You know.
Yeah.
It's definitely weird seeing all these characters that would be non-lethal just suddenly stabbing each other. It's so weird. I will say, Wonder Woman and Aquaman's fight is really badass. And
yeah.
And the Flashpoint Superman, his entrance, even despite the fact he's been a prisoner for years, he would still fuck you up, it seems.
Well, he is Kryptonian.
I know, and that's what was so badass. Like that's one of my other favorite bits. Superman coming in at the last second and just straight up like, right, time for the MVP.
Yes.
You know, like when that ace player joins a death match and everyone's like, "Oh, we're fucked."
Yeah.
That's what it turned into, and I love it. What did you think of the finale fight, Duo?
Like I said, it was just like all bets are off. The gloves are off. Everything. Like I said, the only emotional battles I saw in this one was one with Cyborg because I thought that was very emotional. The fight between Aquaman and Wonder Woman, of course, was very, very badass and very emotional because, well, you killed my wife. But here's my thing, though. You cheated on your wife, so what the hell? You know,
exactly.
See, I thought that was like, okay, if we're going to have this peace treaty, we must have sex. I thought that was basically it.
Yeah.
So I thought Mira would have been cool with that. Like, listen, if I want to have peace between these factions, I must bang their queen. You understand, honey? Or you could just sign a paper that says there's no war between us. No, I must bang their wife. Or their queen.
But also with Reverse Flash and the Flash encountering again, it was like, you know, like Reverse Flash is just monologuing while he's just beating the crap out of the Flash, you know, just telling them about all of his plans that, oh, it was your fault, not my fault. This was your fault. You made this happen. and it's just like, damn, man, like way to hit it on him, man. Like you just hit it, and hit it on him just to make him feel bad, like before he dies. Like he doesn't want him to just kill him. He wants to torture him. He wants to make him realize that all this destruction is your fault, and you're gonna live with that before you die. You know what I mean? That's like torture. That's torture right there.
Do you know what I also kind of loved about the fact? It's like you can't be angry at the Flash, because let's be real here. If we lost a family member or someone we cared about through some like murder sort of scenario, of course we would want to go back in time and save them. Like, who wouldn't? Unless your parent was a piece of shit, like Lex Luthor's parents, to the point he would rig his own car to kill them.
Right.
You kind of sympathize with him. You don't feel like, oh, it's your fault. You feel like it's understandable why you did it, but you just got to let go, Barry. You can't save everyone.
Well, like I said, like how like Reverse Flash is just telling them it's your fault, you know. And someone like, you know, any person that would do something like that for their family and then realize the aftermath of what happened, you are gonna feel blamed, you know, like this is my fault. Like I felt selfish and now the world's paying for it because of what I did. But at the same time, you're right. You know, probably any person would do that.
Yeah, it's still pretty sad to see like the Flash just beating himself up about it, to the point he's not even trying to fight Reverse Flash because he is so full of guilt.
Right.
Is that what you have to say about it, or is there something more you want to add?
I will. There was like I mentioned about Cyborg's death. I'm just watching it right now where Aquaman is just ripping him apart piece by piece. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, to the point where it exposes his heart. You know what I mean? And then he just dies. You know, from all the wounds and stuff. You know, it's just a sad death.
It is very tragic, and it does make me. I just also got to see where the Reverse Flash comes out with a good old cup of tea. Where did he get that? I have to ask that. Where did he get a fresh cup of tea during this war?
I know, like I think they were in a diner, so of course they had some.
But this country was long flooded by Aquaman, so is he just drinking soggy tea? But that is such a classic villain thing. He comes out of nowhere with a nice fresh cup of tea and just starts to monologue.
Yes.
All he needs is Flash, we meet again, and you've got it. You got the perfect villain introduction.
Hey, I think the cup of tea was a nice touch, just to show like I'm just enjoying this. I'm just, you know, don't mind me. I'm just drinking my tea. You know, I'm like Kermit the Frog. You know what I mean?
I bet Flash was like, what kind of sicko are you? A villain that drinks tea during a fight. Iced tea. Ooh. No! It was really great. I tell you what, this bit I do have to admit, though, this is my underwhelming. Well, not underwhelming, but it did kind of feel like such a fuck you moment. Batman shoots the Reverse Flash and kills him.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Come on. Like, I don't care how cool Thomas Wayne is. You're really going to tell me a man who can move faster than light, or even time itself, couldn't hear a bullet coming towards him and not react to it?
Well, to be fair...
No, to be fair.
Yes, to be fair. Reverse Flash was gloating and just reveling in his glory of what he has done. So you could be distracted with that, you know, like you feel like this is my victory, and he's about to see the world turn into a crisp when he feels the bomb explode. Like, yes, and then boom, I just got shot.
Okay, well, here's the thing, though, to counter-argument that. Dr. Sivana from the Shazam movie, he was gloating to Shazam, but guess what? When someone tried to shoot him, he just straight up turned around and just catch the little pebble, which is like, really? I mean, granted, he did get distracted long enough for Shazam to transform, but he still didn't get taken out by a piece of shit little, like, ball.
Right.
Admittedly, though, I kind of get it why they did it story-wise, because Reverse Flash, or not Reverse Flash, Barry was pretty much beaten to the point he just wasn't, he didn't have the will to fight anymore. And so Thomas had to give him the whole superhero speech, like, you must do it for my son. Oh yeah, and also the world, I guess. Ugh.
Yeah.
But I felt like they could have, I don't know, done his death a bit better. Like, I don't know, maybe have Superman come in and like laser beam him or something. Again, I don't want it to sound like I'm nitpicking again. I'm just giving like, I felt like the Reverse Flash was kind of done dirty in his final acts as a villain.
I see what you're getting at.
It was a cool death, don't get me wrong. Especially when you see the bullet hole in his head, like, damn, that was brutal.
Brains inside too.
Yeah, like, again,
PG-13.
This is PG in your country. To the point, someone would lose their brain, someone would have their arms ripped off, people disintegrated, people ripped in half. You know what, I'm sure kids will like this film. Just make sure the parents are around. It's like, no, this is not for kids. In England, we were like, oh, no, we need to make this rated R.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a kid's film. Is that all you have to add to this finale?
For now, we were just talking about not the aftermath, right?
Yeah. We're not done with it yet. I just figured let's get our thoughts on the final battle since we're nearly wrapping up. Richard, it is now your turn. You've been quite silent through this.
Well, yes, I have.
Yeah, you want us to be positive until the point you rip it apart, just like Aquaman did to Cyborg. Do you know that should be the image of the thumbnail for this? It should just be like Richard's head on like Aquaman's body ripping apart the movie, which is Cyborg. That's going to be the thumbnail.
I thought it was all very good, well choreographed, well animated, but at this point I didn't care. I wasn't invested. I didn't care for Wonder Woman killing Captain Thunder for obvious reasons. I didn't care about Aquaman and Wonder Woman's fight because, the way you broke it down, it's like, you killed my wife, but then we slept together. The only interesting parts were with Flashpoint Batman and the Grifter, but then they killed Grifter, and then Thomas Wayne Batman was going to die. And him shooting the Reverse Flash, I thought that was cool. That was a little unexpected. But this whole finale, this whole final set piece, I just wasn't into it. I wasn't invested. I felt like I was just counting down the clock as this world was going to be destroyed.
Was it because like most of the people who are dying that you didn't really have much of an emotional connection to?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I only cared about Thomas Wayne. I didn't care about anybody else. It was nice that Superman showed up, but even then, it's all like, okay, it's a little too late, but okay. It was all just underwhelming. Like I was not emotionally there. I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I did not care. I just saw flashy images on a screen. And there's nothing else I don't think I could say beyond that other than
like they did it just more for shock value than actual story. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It was just gore, shock value, and it was just it was trying to get me emotionally invested with the stakes, but again, it's like the world was going to be erased anyway. All of this was just going to be futile. So really, in the end, it's all like, well, why should I give a shit? It's like y'all were dead, or you're gonna see yourself die anyway. So I'm just gonna sit here and just watch.
I will admit, there was actually one bit I did forget to mention. I do love the fact when Aquaman sees his brother, Ocean Master, lying dead on the floor, and he genuinely looks shocked about seeing a family member of his die. That was actually pretty good. It did show that Aquaman was realising all the pain he caused, to the point his own family were dying.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he pulled out the biggest, biggest butthurt move and just blew up the planet. He did a freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Like, come on, man. You totally did a freezer there. But I get what you mean, Richard. As I'm not as into these characters so much. Like, that's why whenever I just get into a series and then that certain character I got into dies, I'm not too angry about it. Because, like I said, I don't know most of these characters. If I was to read some of the comics of some of this cast, I probably would be like, no, not you! And I guess you as well.
Yeah.
I think the reason I felt more sad for Aquaman and Superman was because I knew those characters.
Right.
So I was very sad to see them die, but then when I'm like unsure of 90% of the characters in this movie, I'm just like, meh. It's sad, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I still say the finale, even if you're not interested in the story, it was still a pretty fun final battle, though. You got to admit.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. But like Richard's saying, like, it wasn't as emotionally investing because not a lot of people that were emotionally invested to, and it was just more for the shock value than more of like telling like a proper story.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad. Even though I was criticizing Reverse Flash's death, I was invested in the final fight. I was definitely hoping that somehow Barry could save this world, and it could return to normal. I don't think that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I do have to kind of point out, though, I don't think technically this universe got erased. Because, I tell you, should we get to essentially the final wrap up this movie and then we move on to the next subject on it?
There was a big, huge touching moment at the end, though.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Should we move on to that bit? Because this is a good segue into it.
Yeah, sure.
So, after all that is done, Thomas Wayne goes to Flash and goes, listen, go back in time and stop yourself. Oh, but be sure to give this to my son. Oh, be sure to invest in Netflix. It will be big someday. Sorry, I had to get that.
This almanac of all the teams that's going to win. Bet on them.
But, yeah, so he goes back in time to stop himself, but... Now, this is what's kind of interesting, because technically, Flash didn't go back to his time, but he more or less went back to a timeline that's familiar to his original one, but there are some differences, which future films show.
Yes.
Like, which we'll get to at some point. That's where I was thinking that's what the next subject would be about. But this is the point which, to me, is the pinnacle of why this film is one of my favourites. Because Flash finally realised that there's some problems you just can't fix by wishing you were dead. Just always focus on, what you can do now to make the world better. Mm-hmm. And the bit with Batman, which... I don't think I can express how much I love that scene. It was just so touching.
Yeah.
And then I thought that was a good end to Flash's sort of debut animated movie. What do you think, Duo?
I think like you said, there was a moral to the story that Flash had to learn, and he realized that there are things I can't change, and if I try to change it, it might get worse than it already is. Like, sometimes things happen for a reason, kind of thing, and I think that's what he learned from it. And we may hate it, but sometimes it all comes into place eventually. But I like the ending part where he gave that letter to Bruce. Bruce teared up and cried, which not many people would see him cry. You know what I mean? Like we don't see Batman cry, so we can know that this meant a lot to him that he got a letter from his father. You know, it meant a lot to him, and I thought that was one of the most touching moments because we know about Batman's history. We know about how he feels. You know, he lost his parents, he lost his family.
You could argue
You
he
know,
practically lost his childhood.
yes, yes,
It's like, yeah, he lost his parents, but he lost more than that. Like, he never got to grow up and play baseball with his dad. He never got to, be on the plane. His mum would be there. Nope. Everything was taken away from him that day.
right. But like you were saying that there were some differences. Like if you notice, like the Flash's uniform changed in the new timeline that he was in.
I have to
Making
admit,
that
I do kind of like what they were going for, but I don't know. I feel like they tried to over-customize it, if you know what I say.
right.
I feel like the classic red with the lightning bolt in the middle, that's perfect,
Mm.
Yeah,
But you didn't like the line, like the yellow lines that go with it either.
nah, I just feel like they overdid it. I mean, granted, it doesn't look like that weird Iron Man looking one from the Justice League movie. Like,
Right.
I can't get over that design, man. That's a rant for another day.
Okay.
I can rant about that for half an hour, but I'm not going to. Anything more you want to add before Richard tears this apart even further?
Um, that's all I can think of right now. Like I said, I thought the ending was good. You know, I thought it was a good ending, especially for Batman. It was good for him too. But again, Flash learned a lesson from this whole ordeal. You know that things happen for a reason, and just leave the cards where they lay. And if there's things that you can help change, do it. But you can't really change the past. You just have to live with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good message, I think, because there's been many times I've had a memory of me doing something stupid in school, in college, or maybe I had a conversation with a friend that I could have done better. But rather than thinking to myself, oh, if I can go back in time, I should think about what I can do to prevent something like that from happening again.
Right.
Like, better myself. Don't, because if you just got constantly reverse the time, you're not learning from your mistakes, or you're not learning to better yourself.
Exactly.
You're just basically erasing something that could have turned you into a good person.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, I would love to erase all the embarrassing moments I had in school, but in a way, though, those events shaped me to the person I am today.
I agree.
And
That is a good way of thinking about it.
and similar to when the Flash lost his mum, because of that, he became the Flash. And the world needs the Flash, because one, he's a great hero, and two, he does great for the world.
Right.
Richard, how about you have a swing at this?
Here we go.
Get that criticize and shiv ready.
This ending was pointless.
Really? What?
Ow!
No, now at that point I have to draw the line. No, do you know what, Richard? You're kicked out of the discussion. I'm kicking you now. What do you mean it was pointless?
Let's figure it out.
It's pointless. Originally when it came out, I thought it was nice. It was nice in the comic. It was very nice that they adapted it here, especially since they got Kevin Conroy to voice Batman again, and it was just nice to hear him really just be so invested in this emotional scene. It's one of my favorite moments of this film, but now looking back on it, and where this led to, and how this kickstarted a universe that I never gave a shit about in the first place, and how recently that universe ended, and now it's pointless. Like I like this whole teary emotional moment with the Flash and Batman. It's pointless because I know exactly where this goes.
Okay, well, you got to think, at the time of like where this future was going.
Yeah, at the time, yes, it was nice. It was nice. But again, it was just an adaptation. It was nothing more than that.
Yeah, but
But
don't you think that's kind of unfair to say this movie doesn't matter anymore because of this? That's like saying the original Star Wars trilogy doesn't matter because the sequels retconned it. No, they still matter.
They matter in a capacity, yes. But this movie ultimately. This movie just very much like its comic book counterpart. It ultimately didn't matter in the end. It gave us these great moments that I liked. I wish the movie could have been like this. I wish the movie the movie chose to change some things about Jeff Johns' original adaptation. They wanted to make it longer. They really wanted to push the boundaries. More power to them, but they didn't take risk. They didn't take enough risk. They didn't try to really. They were trying to have their cake and eat it too. And now, after I've seen where Flashpoint the movie leads us, and now that this particular universe that Flashpoint has started is over, I don't see the point in this ending anymore because
I disagree. I feel like this movie has its place, and do you know what? Because of this movie, which I told you, I'll give my further points when we talk about the next subject.
Okay.
But carry on.
Okay, but no, yeah, I don't hate the moment itself. It's still a great moment. You know, I watch it when I watch clips of it on YouTube, but it's like when we're talking about the grand scheme of things and really how this movie began and really how it was a great it tried to give Barry a great lesson to learn. That would end up becoming null and void because the end movie of this universe that it started would literally go on to say, well, fuck all that shit. Let's do it again. So I don't really see it as something great that like I used to, because I can't really on its own. I like it, but packaged with all of this, I just, and knowing where the package went, I'm not invested.
I don't know. I feel like that's a bit unfair to take points off it just because future movies would inevitably change it.
Agree to disagree, but I feel like it is completely justifiable for me to do that. Because,
how about we agree your opinion is full of tuna shit?
Oh, come on, dude.
No.
Dude, come on.
We British like to hold grudges.
Yes, I know.
His opinions are valid, you know.
Yes.
It's only valid if it provides content.
No, it's only valid. No. It's just, no. I mean, again, you're not wrong. I mean, nobody's wrong for nothing we've talked about. Well, mostly you guys. Nothing you guys have talked about is wrong by my statement. Because the ending is great, although the CGI running, that was a little bit unnecessary, but it's a great ending.
Okay, yeah, I will admit that animation really stands out amongst the background. It's
like again, it's a great ending, and just judging it by itself, I love it. I still love it. It's well acted, it's well animated, and it captures the raw emotions that Bruce is feeling, and it just makes it even better that they got Kevin Conroy to voice Batman in this, because to voice Bruce in this, I mean, because it gives it more weight. But then as I look at when I put it together with this whole mess of a film, it's like, well, crap.
I do kind of understand, like, if you've been having to sit through a nearly 2-hour movie and only enjoyed a few bits, it's understandable why you would feel sour at the end of it.
No, because again, it's like...
It's like going to a restaurant, having to sit through all the boring meals, and then you get the dessert at the end.
Again, if this would have just been a standalone movie and it wouldn't have kickstarted the New 52 animated movie universe, then it would have been. I think I would be a little harsh. I would still say it's at best above average. If it was just a standalone, but since it did, I kind of have to dock points, and I kind of have to be very, very harsh about it because, I mean, this is the introduction. This is the start of a new animated universe that's connected with each other.
This is actually a good segue into the next subject I was going to talk about. So that we've all given our thoughts about this movie, right? We're talking our love and our hate for it. So now, let's get more of Richard's thoughts on this. And this is going to be the question I was going to ask. Do you guys think this was the good start to a new DC animated universe? Because these guys love their animated universes. But was this a good introduction to the New 52 version?
No.
No?
Absolutely not. No, it wasn't. Just like with the original comic book, and no. It was a terrible introduction, and I think the follow-up movie, Justice League War, made it very worse.
All right, well, I do want to say a lot about that movie. There's a lot in that I did not like, but we'll save that for the next time.
Yeah, no, we'll save that for the next time. But yeah, no, this wasn't, because again, as I said earlier, I saw this universe begin, I saw it end, and it did not have a great beginning. Like, it stumbled, it fell more often than not. And this movie is the prime suspect for that. So no, it wasn't.
Okay, that's understandable. Do you want to give your thoughts, and then I'll just give my in-between opinion on it? Did you think this is a good start to the new, one of the many DC animated universes?
The only thing I have to say is, if you're one of those people who want to see what happens after the credits, then yes. But if you're one of those people that just turns off the movie just because it's the end, then probably not, because that ending didn't really show much of what would happen next. It just shows the Flash just running.
Yeah, we don't really get an insight to this new universe that he's created.
Nope.
Right. It didn't give us any insight. The only time it does give us the insight is after the credits. We see Darkseid's minions coming from the portal, and that's it.
These space gimps.
And that's complete bullshit, because if I wanted to, because that doesn't give me anything to go off for this new universe. That just means Darkseid's coming and they're gonna adapt the New 52. It's like,
yeah.
Well, then you've all automatically failed.
I will save my piece about that whole Darkseid bit until Duo's finished his, because I have a lot to say about that.
Well, like I said, it didn't really give us anything to work with of what to anticipate. It's kind of like, say, like one of the Marvel movies. Like, the epilogues always has something that's gonna make you wonder, ooh, what's gonna happen next, kind of thing. You know, like, just simple, like they do it so simply. Like, they show Thor's hammer, and it's like, ooh, so that means Thor's gonna come, awesome, you know. But when we just see the minion just coming, it's kind of like, what did it have to do with the Flash?
True, you know what I mean? It does paint some sort of like, if you're not familiar with DC, you're kind of wondering, who are these weird entities that are entering through the universe's butthole?
Right. You know, so...
Maybe not with that mindset.
Well, like I said, I feel that the ending didn't give much for us to say, is there going to be a sequel? Or is this going to be a continuation? What were the actual consequences of Barry changing time once again? Because he changed it twice in the same movie. Now, what are the consequences?
Yeah, you know, we don't really learn it until we get to one of the Suicide Squad movies, really.
Right.
Which I think waiting that long to find out what's different about the universe is a bit weak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so we're kind of in the same sort of boat, aren't we, about the ending?
Right. So what was your thoughts on it?
I'm kind of between you and Richard in this. I've kind of always been the devil's advocate through this whole review, essentially. First off, the ending was great for the Flash because, again, this is what I consider my introduction to the Flash properly. It was not as good as like the TV show because, like you guys explained, this is a new Flash.
Well, which TV show though?
The Justice League cartoon.
Oh, okay.
So, and this guy was Barry, not Wallace.
Wally,
sorry. I don't know. I got Wallace and Gromit in my brain for some reason. Cheese, Batman, we gotta get the cheese. I don't know why. I'm just picturing Wallace and Gromit with a Flash costume now. Now, I did stay to the end credits. I do that a lot now ever since the MCU. I think we all do that.
Yes.
And here's the thing, I don't hate end credit scenes, but I sometimes feel like maybe an end credit scene should just be like a little bonus. You know, like when you complete a story mode in a game, but there's that little side activity you can do for a little bit more of the gameplay. I don't think it should be something that should be foreshadowing, because I just feel like you're not sure if people enjoy the movie enough, so you want to try and lure them in with a what I call sequel bait. Like, for instance, in the Sonic movie, I'm assuming you guys have seen the movie, right?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay.
I heard a certain two-tailed fox made a cameo.
Okay, well, you do. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. So they have that little faith that people will be interested in seeing more, so they put fan service or sequel bait in it. Like, imagine every game you've played, they just sequel bait it and like the bonus missions. Like, that's not interesting to me. That just feels lazy. So I feel like, but I will admit, the reason I was a bit invested in this end credit scene, because at this time I didn't know who Darkseid was. So when I saw these weird little bat creatures, I was like, oh, these are interesting. I wonder who these guys are. So I was invested to see the sequel. But I kind of agree with Richard, though, that it does kind of feel a bit meh, because it doesn't really have like a big old heroic impact or something like that. It doesn't have like something that would get me interested in this new universe. Because that's the thing that DC have always done well. Like, even through Batman v Superman, which I don't consider to be a good movie, I was interested to see where it was going, because they introduced the Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. So I was looking forward to see what they'll do with them. But in this movie, they expect you to know a lot of the characters. So they should say, you should get excited because you should know these characters. If you don't know them, too bad.
Right.
But at the same time, though, as an introduction to a new universe, it's pretty good. It introduces the heroes. I'm kind of breaking my rule and talking about when the Justice League was introduced, because these characters don't exactly change too much in the sequels. They're still pretty much the same. It's just that the animation gets better and their character development's even outstanding. Like, I'd even dare say that this version of Superman is much better than Henry Cavill's. Because I actually not relate, but I get to like this version of Superman, so I was interested to see what they do with him in the next movie.
Right.
So that's essentially my final thoughts on it. So overall, what would you guys rate this movie out of 10 or out of stars?
Well, again, knowing on its own, it's probably a 5-6 out of 10. But since it's part of this larger universe that I didn't give a shit about, I didn't want, and knowing that the beginning would just be repeated again, and now we're in another universe, so to speak. I don't know. I guess I just got to give it a C.
Ouch.
It's very below. It's average at best. The animation. The animation tried to be. The animation was essentially the last time they would experiment, and I really got to dock points off for that. Excuse me. the only characters I was remotely invested in were Barry and Thomas Wayne and Bruce. And that's about it. All the other characters I didn't give a shit about. They were either the same as they had been in previous iterations, or they were essentially just edgy douchebag killers.
Do you think,
Or
like I said before, if this was a TV show, do you think it might have had a chance of being much better?
maybe, if only slightly. I still think the end execution probably would have only been slightly better, but that's only how I can take it, since I've read and I've seen the Flashpoint Paradox. And it was just it really all it was just there. It's just there. I don't consider it the greatest DC animated movies, but it's definitely not a great start to the New 52 universe.
Alright, that's fair. Dura, what would you rate this movie?
If it was out of 10, I think I'll give it a 6.
Really? I thought you would have put it much higher.
Not high. I still like the movie, but there are some flaws, and it's not one that I would say I'll watch this over and over and over again. Like I would watch Under the Red Hood, Batman Under the Red Hood. I would watch that over and over and over again because it was such a good movie. Or Batman and Superman, The Public Enemy. You know what I mean? Those movies I would rank up higher because it makes me want to watch it more and over again. This one, while I do like the story, I do like the animation, it doesn't intrigue me to want to watch it over and over again, and that's why I give it a 6. There's not really much in the rewatch value into it, except for seeing people getting killed.
It does seem like a movie you would only rewatch on YouTube or something.
Right. You know what I mean? And for, every once in a while, I'm just in the mood to watching this, like once in a blue moon kind of thing. Whereas some movies, you just want to watch it, say every week or every other week or something like that. But this one's one of those movies where you watch it once in a blue moon. But again, it's still a good movie. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, in terms of that, that's why I gave it a 6.
Yeah, I get you. I would personally give this... I'm probably being a bit too generous for your guys. I'm going to give it a 4 stars.
4 out of 5?
Yeah, 4 out of 5, because, we British love our stars.
Oh, okay.
Because, again, this is just my bias, because this is my true introduction to The Flash and this more grittier version of DC, because people always go on about DC's too dark, it tries to be edgy. I don't think it does try and be edgy. I mean, in this movie, I can kind of see Richard's perspective. Yeah, it does look like it tries too hard to solidify, yes, we are a higher rated movie. But DC's always had that down to reality stuff. In the comics where Superman's trying to stop a jumper from committing suicide, not just by swooping in and stopping them before they hit the ground, but more or less standing there and just talking to them. Batman, rather than always just fighting loads of criminals and making a cheesy one-liner, there's comics where he would be trying to talk to a gunman and try and convince him how you don't need to resort to crime to help yourself. And this movie, it did solidify Flash, showing that, yes, he may be a cheesy hero, but he is such a good and kind-hearted person that you root for him a lot of the time. You're hoping he can save this world, or you hoping that he can fix his mistake and move on with his life, because you kind of sympathize with him. So that's why I kind of like it a bit more. If let's say The Flash was not in this movie and it was just about this universe and these characters, it would be such a terrible movie. I would not care for these characters. But in a way, though, this kind of makes me wish that it didn't end with a whole nuclear destroying everything, because the universe technically wasn't erased because the note the Flash had, he was able to give it to Bruce when really he shouldn't be able to. If we're going by, if you go back in time and stop it, it never happened. If you know what I mean. So I think there's like a multi-universe sort of. I mean, DC is well known for creating like multiple universes. So.
Right.
So that's why I kind of wish this universe did survive in the war, and maybe a large majority of the cast survive, just so we could have gotten some future movies with these characters. You know, I would have loved to have seen a standalone Thomas Wayne movie after the events of Flashpoint, and like everyone didn't die. Maybe
and we get to actually see the Joker or Martha Wayne,
or even yet see how this Superman would have adapted to, you know, growing up in a metropolis or a world where, you know, he's been locked up for most of his life.
Right.
But because, you know, I guess what Richard said, because the universe got destroyed, or the world got destroyed, and Flash created a new one, it does kind of defeat the whole multi-universe thing. But that doesn't make it bad. I'm just saying, like, you know, without the Flash, I don't think I would have enjoyed this movie as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially my final thoughts on this movie. It's a great film. Some of the issues are nitpicky at best. But overall, I'd give it a 4 stars.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty much all we have to say about this movie.
Yep.
So, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to Duo Dreamer for coming on.
It was a pleasure.
But I have to confess something to you.
What?
I did get a message just warning, and I have to read it out to you.
Okay.
Oh, God.
It's from Yang.
Oh, God.
Duo, why did Barry cross the road?
Really?
I'm sorry. I don't take pleasure in this, believe me. Why did Barry cross the road?
Why?
Because he would have gotten to work in a Flash. And yes, this was by Yangi Insane.
Uh-huh.
When she found out, or she saw my tweet where I said, "Oh, Duo's going to be on," she immediately messaged me at like 5 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, God.
So, Yang, if you're watching this, I hope you... Oh, God, why did I do this? But, okay, puns aside, it was great to have you on. It was great to get someone who's a bit more into DC than I am, I'll admit. I'm not as big in DC, so that's why I thought I'll get someone who's more into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope we get to have you more on for the future movies we discuss. The next one we will be talking about is, of course, as much as I dread to say it, Justice League War.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing from the tones of our voices, we all kind of have the same opinion about it.
Yeah, wasn't their greatest, but we'll probably get to it, though.
Man, I'm very tempted just to skip it and just go to Batman v Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be patient, you know. Rome wasn't built in a day. At least the movie after that I would consider to be good. So, you know, so keep an eye out for that. Be sure to subscribe to Saber King's channel. Be sure to subscribe to Duo Dreamers. Check out some of his animations. They are wicked. I even helped out with one of them, Judge Dredd versus RoboCop. Yep. And, you know, share this video around and get the channel growing. And I'll see you guys in the next video. You guys do your outros.
May my reign last for eternity. I'll see you guys later.
And always dream big.
Richard's opinions didn't matter.